To the end of the book, we've got to the end. A beautiful moment for everyone. We've got to the end. We've raised money for Beth. Such a good cause. And finally, I really just want to get this book out of the way. For the last time, I'm going to remove my flaps. It's part 10, everyone, in case you think this is still a hoax. Part 10. Oh, how many pages are left? I just need to check. Gosh. We haven't got long. Okay. By Grand Central Station, I sat down and wept. That's the title. Big brain over here. I will not be placated by the mechanical motions of existence, nor find consolation in the solitude of waiters who notice my devastated face. Sleep tries to seduce me by promising a more reasonable tomorrow, but I will not be betrayed by such a Judas of fallacy. It betrays everyone. It leads them into death. Everyone acquiesces. Everyone compromises. They say, as we grow older, we embrace resignations. But oh, they totter into it blind and unprotesting. And from this sin, the sin of accepting such a pimp to death, there is no redemption. It's the sin of damnation. But what, except Morphe, can weave bearable net around the tiger shark that tears my mind to shred, seeking escape on every possible side, the senses unavailable to unbearable into sleep, and it ceases except it appears gruesomely at the edges of my dreams, making ghastly signals which wear away peace, but which I cannot understand. The pain was unbearable, but I did not want it to end. It had an operatic grandeur. It lit up Grand Central Station like Judgment Day. It was more iron-muscled than Samson in his moments of revelation. It might as well show me all Dante's dream, but there's no way to endure. I'm going to have a child. So all my dreams are of water, across which the ghost of an almost accomplished calamity beckons. But tonight, that child lay within, like the fated and only island in all seas. When Lexington Avenue dissolved all my tears, and the houses and the neon lights and the nebula fell jumbled into the flood, that child was the naked newborn babe stridled in the blast. He is the one focal pinning me to my own centre. But the sea that floods is love, and it gushes out to me like an arterial wound. I'm drowning in it. The 50-story windows glitter and collapse into water. The water is full of astronomical points. It is magnetic death trap. Everything is caught in this rut. But where are we all heading for? On the swollen river of my undammed grief. Oh, hurricane, be decisive, terminate in my end, but terminate. The grief trumpets its triumphant. It's raving. It craves violence from expression, but can find none. There's no end. The drowning never ceases. The water submerges and blends. I'm not dead. Oh, I'm not dead. I'm under the sea. The entire sea is on top of me. That I speed through Grand Central Station with nothing at all to stop me, like a career in a limousine without brakes, propelled by my brilliant desperation. It gives me talent. It manipulates the small terrorizers of before. I storm them with a scorn. Go to hell, I say to the ones that used to cow me when I humbly asked for a sandwich. They obey the glint in the middle of my glazed eye, for it is the fierce last stand of all I have. I cannot now invoke bows and ubiquitous smiles, for there is 12 cents left of that unfailing bribe, and my face floated away on that hemorrhage of sorrow that dissolved even the chromium plate in the glass palaces of concrete of New York. But these are all night cafes. They see too much of the derelict who warms himself with coffee before throwing himself into the river. These tables are topped in leather on which blood has never dried. They invite one to compose farewell notes. Goodbye all. I couldn't take it. She's had a distracted air. They tell the police. But then we get so many of a kind. It's all in the night's work. They shake their heads and they watch her go, whisking away the empty coffee cup. Someone done her wrong. They gag, protecting themselves against the ultimate terror with a gross proof joke. Tough. Well, ma'am, what'll it be? I race disaster. I raced disaster down 3rd Avenue. It shimmers in the Hudson River. When I dare to look up for a sign of comfort, the neon flashed relentlessly. When I dare to look up for a sign of comfort, the neon flash relentlessly. I suppose I'm drinking 8% beer. Yeah, we're not going to be perfect. No. No one will pity you here, where failure is the same as shame. Are tears anachronisms, out of place even in cinemas? Sure, kid, we all got trouble. Buck up, take it on the chin. If you smile now, you might become a great success in the advertising business. Brave little woman, quite a gal. Her saucy repartee concealed alluring tragedy. Once she could feel, she could weep. Once she too was human. But you see what can be done? Why, she's making 15 grand a year. Somebody's in the temple god and they're doling out phony dollar bills. I didn't ask them to envy me or even for shoes in the fashionable shade. I wanted one thing. I gave you the full instructions. The name, I spelt it out in letters as long as a continent. Even the address. The address that makes waterfalls of my blood because it is also her address. I said quite plainly and loudly, this is what I want. I want this, and I don't want any bonus. Just give me this and I'll pay any price you ask. I made no reservations, took no advantage of this. I never grudged. But sir, so what I plead is just, what are you stalling for? There is no more to give. The bus conductor offers his ham sandwich with mustard, standing up, all in a hurry between cars. He has come and gone while I put 3 crosses on my grave. When you will have time for love, sweetheart. It sits like his ham sandwich in a small knot in his stomach. If you are in a hurry, try Tums for indigestion. Tums are tops for those on the run. Punctually, like his ticket puncher, he goes in and out of the cave of revolution. One eye is full of dust from the street and the other is on the clock. Wife, open your legs, 5 minutes, I gotta go on duty. I see her often battling for bargain stockings in Macy's basement. Who will untwist and petrified growth of her face? Who will untwist the petrified growth on her face? Who will cut this very Gordian knot? She is. Oh, you mad, frivolous sisters. She is. I am. I'm awful at reading aloud, but I try, and that's what's most important. Love is crucified on a floating cross and cries out hoarsely my name in the night. His wife hears, and her eyes burn holes in the darkness across the room. My love has a bandage like a bowel of pain round his neck where lately he cut his throat. But it's not the wound that chokes him every time he swallows. It's the ball of the world, spiked where Europe is, but covered like a tea cosy with my name. Oh, how thirsty he is when that great globe closes his throat. He hangs, damp with his impotent tears, smiled by one hand to love and by the other one to pity, with his 2 small feet nailed to the longitude of the inevitable, floating in the perpetual seas of tragedy, in the gales of the special times. All my pole stars have come, fallen stars. My mind floats like flotsam on the general flood. No morbid adolescence ever clutched towards melodramatic conclusions so wildly. The world goes roaring up. Oh yes, it is hysteria that whips me with his name, that drives me with the insane loneliness of the first split amoeba to shrink beneath his window. As if all future worlds lay in the conjunction of our separate selves, I writhe in desperation, screaming his name. As my germ dwindles, as the whole universe withers, like a corolla no bee ever found. He still tosses. Though sleeping, he's on the rack. Across the room he lies livid, with grief and love, legendary and stony as a Catholic cathedral. This one was the perfect sacrifice. All civilized men will weep for her. Choirs will mourn forever in the front of that legitimate moving memorial. The disciplined tears will grow grass so green it touches untouched hearts. Every brick was blood. The spiked gored her for christening. Even while her upturned face expected the kiss of Christ, the stones are smooth because her agony rolled them out. She was split in as offering. 3 times she was martyred, but the 3rd time she truly died. He stands paralysed watching her hang. Her dying eye rolls round and sees how her God betrays her, but she murmurs, "In la sua volontade." There you go. You can have some on the house. Some free Latin. I think it's Latin. Who knows? Harlots have eyes that scamper like mice round restaurants, dotted like haphazard prospects. Their clattery laughter lullabies troubles like the wooden cradle on the floor. My cradle is within, it rocks, but a hurricane rocks it. Its elbows bleed me. It buffets me off the road of planned elegance. Girls in love, remember to keep your head. Keep calm. Plan your campaign. Yours sincerely, Dorothy Dix. Girls in love, be harlots. It hurts less. He rocks also in his trapezist's nest, hung in the hurricane, and hung above damnation. O hurricane, be decisive, end, terminate in my end, but terminate. How can I pity him, even though he lies so vulnerable up there in stinging wind, when every hole that bleeds in me was made by a kiss of his? He is beautiful as allegory, he is beautiful as the legend of imagination washes up on the sand. But what bombards him, except the indiscriminate element, transient lightning, ubiquitous as air? He is open to 1,000 cries of distraction and terror. He swings delirious in the night, shuddering and fighting off 1,000 foes and woes. But oh, my burning body anchors love within me, and I am consumed wherever I go like a St. Catherine's wheel, a torture perpetual as a turning earth, or far less likely to go out. In a day or two the tempest will abate. Dear heart, dear Catherine, be kind, be calm. In an hour, my angel pain, a comet has gnashed his perpetuity against eternal calamity. Oh, calamity is the waiter brushing the crumbs from the red leather table, grinning with his gold teeth to boast later to the boys. There's no tomorrow, no reason to know any other, and today, my only today, I spilled uselessly into my 10-cent notebook, my eyes used up with tears. This is the hour I once rose up and beautifully equipped with scorn commanded the sun to rise. Now this is no hour, and it leads nowhere, it dangles meaninglessly. Who shuffles by me, gripped chairs for support? I do, I myself. I reel around the cafe, solicited by the prostitute's sleep. Every tear is wept and lies staining its fall in place. I am without words, I am without thought, but quia amore langueo. I am dying for love. This is the language of love. It's very good. I mean, I don't think I got many pages left, but Spot really comes into her own in the latter part, I feel. Tomorrow at 10 I shall take a train. All trains lead me to rivers that beckon and wing. Through the day or through the twilight I rush past rivers to their river. The river waits, it is one, and knows how I shall fall into the river with a thud. I am drenched before I reach the surface. I am drowned before I reach the water weeds at the bottom. I avoid the glance the river gives me, but it dances on. It has lusts for me. It's almost succumbed. In my dreams of most terror, the water freezes into ice. The waterfall of promises liberation stands stock still and disobedient. I'm balked. And then a man, coffin, alive or chained ghost, never to be let loose. His hand of sympathy goes out to me. Soft as a dove, his cheek like early apples, he weeps consolidation into my mouth. He kisses the circles on top of the water beneath which I lie drowned. Soft as a fish, the kiss glides down to me. It swims to me, trailing its bubbles of love. All the ton pressures of all the oceans cannot withstand that touch that prods me with regret. Through the layers of impenetrability, tomorrow, like an ardent boy of Socrates, looking down at the drowned with resurrection in his eyeballs, I see my lover's limbs, all entwined with love. My lover is making signs. He smiles, he points. He stoops down his language to the water, destroys my image with ripples. The mud covers me. The mud puts curtains over my eyes. My cries now rise back in bubbles. My screams only prick the air like dragonfly messengers. Then a confusion clears. I see it's a summer's evening above. My lover lies under the leaden tree, kissing tomorrow with his mouth. That was all mine. Oh, the tumult, the unavailing, ineffectual uproar of the damned. Oh, the language of love, the interpreted, the inarticulate, more. Is it possible he cannot hear me when he lies so close, so lightly asleep? These hours are not the hours. What can sleep give him to compare with what I could have given him? He must start up. He must come here and find me. He cries out in his sleep. He sees the huge bird of catastrophe fly by. Both his wings are lined with the daily paper. 5 million other voices are shrieking too. How shall I be heard? Lie still, my dear, his guardian angel says. Is everything all right? No, but lie still all the same. Dawn creeps over his window like a guilty animal. This is the very route he chose instead of love. Let it be quiet and full of healing. For me, it blocks all vision, all perspective. It is the cursed comfort he preferred to my breast. The one who shares it weeps silently in the corners, is tender and noticed, and makes his necessity. Have you seen my notebook, dear? It's under the desk, my sweet. I give it to him. Oh, my gentle usurper, whom I also have usurped, my enemy who I have both killed and been killed by. Let him write words that will acquit him of these murders. The page is as white as my face after a night of weeping. It's as sterile as my devastated mind. All martyrdoms are in vain. He's also drowned in the blood of too much sacrifice. Lay aside the weapons, love, for all battles are lost. But what will the rose and the briar tell my sisters? Children playing near the grave. It pricks my hand, the pretty flower. Of a rose it is all my song. But what do they kill each other for? How should I know, my little Wilhelmine? My Wilhelmina. It's the language of love which nobody understands. It's the first cry of my never-to-be-born cry. Go in your garden, for your apples are ripe. Like the genie. The genie? The Genii? Plural of genies? Like the genie and like the Genii at the we're overcomplicating this at right at the end. Like the Genii at Hell's gates, the darky porters arrive, and ushers in the day with brooms and enormous dustpans. Odours of disinfectant wipe out love and tears. With rush and thunder, the early workers overrun the world they have inherited, stamping out the stains of wailing, bleeding past. Good morning, boss. A cup of tea. Good morning, boss. A cup of coffee and 2 fried eggs. Look at the idiot boy you begot with that night. He is all the world has left. He's America, and better than love. He is civilization's heir. Oh, you Bob, whose action brought him to being. He's happier than you, sweetheart. But will he do... Why? It's literally the last page. I can't even get my words out. He is America. He is better than love. He is civilization's heir. Oh, you mob, whose action brought him into being. He's happier than you, sweetheart. But will he do to fill these coming 1,000 years? Well, it's too late now to complain, my honey dove. Yes, it's all over. No regret. No postmortems. You must adjust yourself to conditions as they are. That's all. You have to learn to be adaptable. I myself prefer Boulder Dam to Chartres Cathedral. I prefer dogs to children. I prefer corn cobs to the genitals of the male. Everything's hotsy-totsy dandy. Everything's okay. It's in the bag I can't miss. My dear, my darling, do you hear me when you sleep? Cover to cover. We finished it. Okay. The latter part is better than the first part. I feel as though there's more of kind of like an understanding of what's going on, where the first part's so abstract and so poetic. I kind of feel as though like the grandeur of it was lost on me. Like it was too labyrinthine. Like I was like chasing rhizomes that didn't lead to doors, where towards the end, and the end itself, which I'm not. I don't think I know what this book is, or what it's about. I'm happy to say that I don't think I understand everything that's going on, and I've purposely not tried to look too much into Smart's life. But everyone who's reading this in the book club is falling back on Smart's biography and her story and this affair that she was kind of like embroiled in. I think the difficulty of poetic prose is that I think you tread that line of kind of not falling into hyperbole, but everything's so hyperbolized. Everything becomes sublime. Let's say that. Everything comes to sublime to the point that I think this is lost on me. I know Jan Martel said to read it aloud. I think that did help, but more so, I think taking your time with a book like this, even though it's hello, it's what, 130 pages long. I do not believe you could read this in one day and get anything from it. I don't believe that. Because I've read this over the space of 2 weeks, and it's that dense that I've come away and gone, I think I know what's happening. And this is why like different books take different lengths of times to read. But I don't know if I'd recommend My Grand Central Station, because I think for like a work of poetic prose, I think this kind of falls too far. That if this was your first poetic prose, I don't think it'd be a good starting point. And then as a work of, it's more auto fiction than anything else. This was really got me like racking my head over this. So that's my final thoughts, if that means anything. Bye.